Hello and welcome to Season 3 of What I Did Next from A&T Media. I'm Malak Fuad, your host. The seasoned listeners among you will know that the show focuses on people's personal and professional crossroads and looks at those trajectories from key pivot points. My guests are multilingual, multicultural, and they're either from the Middle East or are connected to the region in some way. My guests are industry leaders. They are curious and passionate about the world around them, and they aim to leave their mark in some way. Today, I'm super excited to welcome the stunning and oh so talented Hend Sabri. Not needing an introduction at all, Hend is the queen of our cinematic hearts. Tunisian by birth, Hend has made Egypt her adoptive home and is one of the leading lights of both the silver and small screens. With groundbreaking roles such as Asmaa, where she portrays an HIV-positive woman in rural Egypt, Hend has proven herself to be a serious actress worthy of the numerous awards she has received over the years. Hend is equally at ease in comedy, portraying perhaps her most beloved character, Ola, in Ayaz-Atgawez. She just brought Ola back in Finding Ola on Netflix, to rave reviews. Hend is not afraid to face head-on those difficult and taboo subjects that are whispered about but never spoken of out loud. Coming across as open and accessible, Hend has given voice to topics that would otherwise remain hidden. Underneath the actress persona, Hend is a woman of fierce intellect who cares deeply for the world around her and the world she will be passing on to her daughters. A lawyer by training, she understands the importance of education for a happy and successful career. Being in control comes from knowing your rights and not being afraid to stand for what you believe in. The overriding sense with Hend is what you see is what you get. There is no artifice or pretense here, except on the screen, of course. She is a woman who is engaged, dedicated, and true to herself. Before we get started today, you might notice that things are sounding a bit different. We had a small glitch with our audio for this episode, so we had to work with our backup audio. Sorry about that. Things will be back to normal on our next episode. We start our conversation today with our icebreaker questions. The first question is based on the Malcolm Gladwell book, The Tipping Point. You can find more details about the question on our Instagram page and our Twitter account. I asked Hend what personality type from the book she most associates with: a connector, a salesperson, or a maven.
I think I'd say I'm a 70% saleswoman and a 30% the first one,
Connector, yeah.
That's I think that's the dosage.
I think also what I've noticed is most people are not just one thing.
Exactly.
You're always a mix.
We're a mix of things. So sometimes I can be a great negotiator, sometimes I can't negotiate. I know that when I'm passionate about something, then I can easily convince my friends, or if I want to go to the movies and my mind is set on the movie, then I'll sell it to them. And if I'm really passionate about a cause, then I'm adamant about selling it on my social media, But sometimes I find great pleasure in connecting people with great ideas. I'm a matchmaker when it comes to people. It's always a great pleasure for me when I introduce two people who did not know each other, thinking that this union or this encounter will bring something, I think, better.
Do you think the saleswoman element is why you're a good actress? Because you're able to convince people that you are that person on screen?
Probably. I never thought about it this way, but I think it might be. Yeah, I mean, I'm also a lawyer, and they're also salesmen.
That's right.
I think it's in my blood. I don't like being alone with my thoughts or ideas as much as sharing them, and I can be very rigid about my vision of things. That's not the case when I'm an actress, because sometimes I embody women who are really different, and it needs a lot of mind openness and tolerance to be able to empathize with a character that is really far from you, or that was not brought up the way you were. Or
I just want to stop you there for a minute. How do you do that? How do you put yourself in the shoes of someone that you have no connection with whatsoever? From a completely different walk of life, a part of the world, experiences. How do you find that resource to empathize with them?
Well, I think empathy is the resource. It's not the mean, it's not the end, it is the mean. Empathy is the tool that I use and that many other people, not only actors, use to be able to feel what people feel or need, or, you know, I'm sure Steve Jobs was a great empath, for example, because he was, maybe even if he did not know it, because he was able to guess what people would need.
Before they needed it.
Before they needed it. And when you start really, I mean, when you, from the outside, we're different, we're so different, we come from so many walks of life, but when you kind of scratch the surface, we're so similar. We're so similar.
Yeah.
We feel the same. Fear is the same in Las Vegas or here. Love is the same in
That's right.
Hong Kong or here.
Sure.
And we are energy and we are emotions. And so the background or your social or cultural background is just an accessory. I mean, it's a big accessory. It's like the clothes that you're wearing. But the flesh is the same.
The fundamentals are the same.
Fundamentals are the same.
Interesting. And tell me more about the connector element. So you're in the you like to make connections between people.
I do.
Yeah. And do you do that on a like, if you find two friends you think that will, you know, fall in love? Is that the kind of connection you want to make?
That happened actually.
I've done that too in the past. Yeah.
Are you good at it?
I think I am pretty good at it. Yeah.
Half of them got a divorce, but
that's a different story.
that's not my problem.
You weren't in the room.
Sometimes even professional ideas come out of some encounters. New projects, exciting projects. So I like every kind of matchmaking.
It's very satisfying, right?
It is.
It confirms kind of what your instincts.
Yes.
It confirms your instincts, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's a real pleasure to actually see someone and say, hey, have you met this person? Because I really think that it gives me great satisfaction.
Yeah, me too.
Our second icebreaker is based on social media. Does Hind use Instagram or Twitter more? My guests have surprised me with their answer to this question. It triggers some angst and uncertainty.
Like picking between, the sea and the mountains. I mean, they both serve.
What do they each give you?
Instagram gives me carelessness. So it's kind of, it's I don't want to say trivial, but yeah,
lighthearted.
It is lighthearted. Twitter is an emergency room. It is. That's how I feel it. I start getting palpitations.
Do you feel more political on Twitter?
Of course.
Yeah.
And I used to be very political on Twitter. I used to have political feuds.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of the first artists in the Middle East who joined Twitter, and when I joined I went all out, which I would never do now. I was giving every stupid opinion of mine.
And that was around the time of the Arab Spring?
It was
even before?
It was even before. I think I joined in 2008 or 2009.
Right.
And I used to tweet 5 tweets a day or 6 tweets a day, which now when I look at my history, my the history, I'm like, how could I be so naive?
Yeah.
And
but it was more innocent then too, at the time.
It was, but
it wasn't as aggressive as it is now.
Let me tell you that my first encounter with real social media bullying and aggression was on Twitter in 2009.
Oh, really? That far back?
I had a very famous feud with a guy that I will not mention, but he's like a revolution figure. My shame, I feel ashamed of it now. I answered the guy, and we had a feud, and it was really, low. I would never do that again, never answer someone again. But it taught me so many things, so many things. So Twitter is really the outlet or the social media outlet that holds the most anger. And when you're on Twitter and you're fighting, you better be
willing to take it all the way to the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you were to pick only 5 people to follow, who would they be and on which platform?
There's some people I like on Twitter and some people I like on Instagram. Okay, Instagram, it would be Will Smith. I love Will Smith and I love what he's doing on his social media platforms. It would be Ariana Huffington.
Why do you like her?
Surprisingly. Because
she's into sleep management now.
But that's what I like about her. The woman woke up one day and her life, her health, everything was destroyed because she was such a workaholic and she was such a successful person with the criteria now of success, which is I'm exhausted, I'm overworked, and she collapsed and she woke up now and all she's defending is sleep.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that this woman changed a lot.
Yeah.
And it took from her health and from her mental sanity and from her...
She's had a lot of reincarnations over the years as well.
Yes, no, she's a woman that I
Very
really
interesting.
respect.
Yeah.
On Instagram as well, National Geographic, their pictures are amazing. I love seeing beautiful pictures.
You're a very visual person then.
Yeah. I like... I follow a lot of photographers actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I like beautiful pictures.
Do you take your own photos? Are you into it?
I am, but I mean, I was.
Yeah.
Less now. I don't carry the camera. I used to carry a camera, a big one, and I used to take actually not bad. I mean, decent pictures. My friends would always say that I capture nice moments at weddings, when I travel. Who else? On Twitter, I would follow Mohamed Henedi. He's really funny on Twitter. Really, really funny, and he cracks me up. Ricky Gervais, because he's really funny.
He is funny.
And sarcastic as well.
Yeah.
And I like sarcastic in general. Jane Fonda.
An icon.
Yeah. I like her energy. She has unbelievable energy. Who makes me smile when I see their pictures? Mystica Bas. I like Alicia Keys. I'm not into...
You're not fixed. You're not into one area or one profession or one thing. Yeah.
I'm eclectic.
Yes. I know that you began acting at a very young age. So I'm curious about that, but I'm also curious as to how you began as an actress, but then as you matured and you became older, you also wanted to pursue your education. You wanted to finish your education.
Well, I never really saw acting as my future. So my future was really defined. I wanted to do political science and I wanted to work in the diplomatic field in general. I was into diplomacy and international affairs and relations. And so the first movie I made, I was 14, so I was still at school. And I was really good at school and always very serious, very committed. It never occurred to me that I would drop school for acting. Acting was the nice hobby, and my education was something else. So I finished law school in Tunisia, got a year off, so I came to Egypt and did my first movie here, and then went back to Tunisia, did my master's. It was exhausting actually. It was really tiring because I remember at some point I used to go take the plane, fly to Tunis every 2 weeks.
But I find it interesting that even though you had done your first movie, you still went back to finish the masters or to begin the masters.
Yes.
What made you do that? Because a lot of people would have said, I'm beginning a career in the movies. I'm not going to do my masters. What made you stop at that point, pause, and say, actually, I'm going to finish that as well?
My parents, they didn't make me do it actually. I really did it, but they had always this objection about, if you want to do your acting career, we're supporting you, but get a proper
qualification.
Yeah. You don't know what can happen. This is a very ungrateful job, which it is. It's very short-lived. It's not so. I had this in mind that I had to continue after, because in Tunisia, we're very academic, and women
are at the forefront of everything in Tunisia.
Exactly, and so a master's was not. If had I worked in international affairs, I would have been a PhD for sure. I wouldn't have stopped at master's. So I actually stopped at master's because I didn't want to work there, and I wanted to continue start my acting career as a job this time. That's an advice that I always give to young girls who come and tell me we want to. No, I don't care about education. I just want to be an actress, and I say no, because first of all, better be a smart actress than a dumb actress.
Of course, you're more empowered.
You're more empowered,
of course.
and unfortunately in this part of the world, it's not a job that is really respected. So when you come with a degree and a proper solid education, they do respect you more. And I wish these girls could come more empowered and sit at the table and say, no, you know what? I know my rights. I know what I can do, what I cannot do, and It's not. It's a very ungrateful job.
So for you, your academic qualifications, the fact that you have a law degree, it empowered you. It gave you a strong foundation
Big time.
to negotiate, to
To negotiate contracts, to be able to read them, to be able to see when something is not right, to be able to defend myself, to be able to talk to the press,
and have the confidence, not just the practicality of it, but just I am this person.
Of course,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah, and even talking to the media, talking this intelligence that you need to have, the social intelligence, the PR intelligence, the networking.
It's foundational.
This is
Yeah.
all foundational.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is all something that you learn in college, and So I was really, really happy that I finished. I wish I could have finished my PhD as well, but maybe in another life.
So, do you think that your choice of roles, certain roles, has been a way for you to advocate in a certain way? Since you're not a lawyer now, is it your way of advocating certain paths or certain causes?
It's funny that you say that because there's this types of people. That test, that very famous test. I don't know what it's called. 7 or 9 types of people.
Yeah.
Based on their personality traits, and so I'm an introvert advocate.
Okay.
So apparently, yeah. So there's two. There's.
It sounds like a contradiction, but it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
So usually advocates are extroverts.
Exactly.
And they choose jobs for extroverts, which actors are extrovert advocates. I'm not. I'm an introvert advocate. So yes, I do choose to those characters.
And give me an example. What are you thinking of when you're saying that? Are you thinking of Asmaa?
Asmaa, for example, yes, that's a story that broke my heart because.
Is it based on a true story?
Yes.
Yes.
I never met the woman because she had already passed away.
Can you explain to us just quickly the role, what it entails?
Asmaa is an HIV-positive woman from rural Egypt, from the countryside. Her husband went to jail for a crime that he did not really commit, and he got out of jail carrying HIV, and she knew and put herself at risk because she wanted to have children with him. And he passed right after that, and she had her children, and she had a problem with her intestines, or I can't remember which organ, and no doctor wanted to operate her because she had HIV, and she passed away because of that complication, not because of HIV. And her children, unfortunately, when they found out that she was with HIV, did not speak to her, did not see her until she passed away, although she did that for them
to be born. Yeah.
So the story was heartbreaking.
It's tragic.
The fact that you cannot ask for your basic rights, for healthcare, for I heard horrific stories about someone going to the dentist, and the dentist throws them away with the sheet, the sheet over the chair.
Yeah.
And how they're humiliated, and so this loss of being a citizen, like you become a second-class citizen.
Loss of dignity.
And this daily loss of dignity, and even loss of family. So it's a very lonely path in this region, more than anywhere else. It is lonely everywhere, but here.
And you shone a light on the issue here.
And I tried, because I believe, first of all, that this is what cinema is about. At the same time, if you don't take risks as an actress, if you don't say, you know what, I'm tired of just doing the nice girl or the villain or those stereotypes, and God knows that we suffer from that in script writing here. It's always not a real character. So when I find a real character that has a story to tell, then I'm all for it, and I'm a very brave woman when it comes to this part of me, like choosing my characters.
Yes.
But I'm not in real life.
Yes, but you probably don't have to be, because you're taking the risk in your work.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
you don't need to be risky in everything.
Maybe, yeah.
And how did the audience react to that film?
Well, the film was really, it was not fair because the film was released in March 2011, right after the revolution. So the timing was really, really not good. I think people were still scared to go to the movies. There was a curfew. The timing at the time of the theatrical release was really bad. But then when the movie went on TV and on Netflix, and it's amazing how many people saw it and how many people talk about it. I opened Twitter and 10 years later, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
People are like, I watched this movie, Asmaa, you really have to watch it. And it was really well written as well and well directed by Amr Salama. It's a different movie. It's definitely not your standard Egyptian movie. And I'm proud of anything different.
Yeah.
I'm proud when I do something different.
Yeah. And do you feel that there are other issues that you want to tackle?
Oh, so many.
What would be your wish list? Let's say, I don't know, 2 or 3 issues that if you had your dream, your dream option, what would you pick? And on a secondary question, would you consider writing it yourself?
It's funny that you're saying that because, I'm now working on my Netflix series it's gonna be released by the end of this year. It's a 6-episode series, and it's a comedy, dramedy. And I was really involved in the writing with the writers, and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it and loved it, and
because it brings in your academic side a little bit.
Not only the academic side. It brings in your the fact that you make a character say something that is logical because it comes from this character it has a magical effect on me. It's like you're creating the world. You're creating
You're creating a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And world and dynamics and so I really got addicted to this, and I think I'm gonna continue.
Yeah.
But when you were saying what cause, which cause? I don't believe that causes are mutually exclusive. Like I don't believe that. I believe that the source of our problems is one common solid thing that we have to tackle, but we have to tackle it with so many arrows from so many places, so that it collapses. So
what are you talking about? Are you talking about corruption?
I'm now about women issues. I'm talking about a deeply engraved belief, wrong belief, that us women are
not capable or not capable. Yeah.
This is the big issue, and then there are smaller or sub issues. But what I like to tackle is this. I'd like to challenge it intellectually.
Yeah.
And I believe that it only comes when people laugh. That's why I have a lot of respect for comedians. A lot of respect.
And this goes back to your saleswoman. It's how you persuade.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good point. And so when people laugh, there's a channel that opens.
Definitely.
And this channel,
you've won them over.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can tell them whatever you want. I saw it in Ayaz-Atgawez. Ayaz-Atgawez was 10 years ago as well, 11 years ago. And Ayaz-Atgawez was at the time a taboo. Like, how can a girl, and even the actress, because there's also this, they always confuse actress and role or character.
Yes.
So to them, it was me and saying Ayaz-Atgawez, I want to get married. But for a woman to come out and say, I want to get married, and then let's explain. And people started watching this because they thought that they would see marriage as the happy end of this girl's life, and it was not. So we with laughter and with irony and sarcasm, we kind of convinced so many girls, I hope, and so many mothers of these girls that, you know what, this is stupid. Look at us. We're pathetic. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. And this is her ambition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And laughing at it with their mothers, with their fathers, I remember it was Ramadan, so it was shown everywhere in the Middle East, and I remember receiving so many emails, phone calls from Jeddah, from Riyadh, from in Saudi. Back then was not Saudi today.
Yes.
It was much more conservative. And the series was the number one watched in Saudi Arabia, in the Gulf countries. When I go to the Gulf countries, it's always Ola.
They talk about this.
It's always Ayaz-Atgawez. And so this is despite the fact that it's not a serious project like Asmaa, for example, but because it was watched so many times and became a classic on TV, because it's a comedy, so it had a bigger impact.
And it had a bigger reach.
And
a message that was communicated, but in a more light-hearted way, but it still got the message across.
Yes. And I believe in that. I believe in those kind of projects.
When we come back, we continue to hear Hind's story. That's right after this short break. Welcome back. I'm Malak Fuad, and you're listening to What I Did Next with the gorgeous Hend Sabri.
What was your favorite role so far? You must have a favorite, or one that you had a good experience working on, or it just came together organically, the crew was nice, the actors were nice, the director was nice.
Oh, there's many. There's not one.
Not one.
No, not one. I'm lucky. I'm really lucky that there's many. Okay. So the character that was, to me, the most fascinating one was Lulia in Al-Fil Azraq,
Blue Elephant.
Because she's a demon, and because the physical transformation took 4 hours a day. So that was fascinating for me to go on set and watch myself turn into totally someone else, totally. To the point that if I catch myself on
you don't know it's you.
I don't recognize myself. That never really happened to me before. The part that is really close to my heart is Ola Sabur. And that's no coincidence that I am now, we took this character, and this is the Netflix character that I'm working on. So
you're taking it to the next point.
We're taking it to 10 years later, basically. I really like Ola because she made me close to so many girls, so many women, so many families. She made people relate to her so much, and at the same time, she's fun. Like she's complicated and full of wrong beliefs, and
like a lot of people.
Exactly. And she's challenged by this life, and she's clumsy and lost. And I like her. Even my friend was telling me, a friend I'm working with was telling me, when you turn into Ola, it's as if it's you, but it's it's some part of you that never really. You gave her a name, and it's Ola, and probably.
Do you think that most of the roles you take, there has to be something of you in that character for you to connect with them, or do you not have to feel that at all?
I used to have to feel that. The more experience you get, you realize that this is limiting. It's very limiting. So because there's only so many common points you can start with, and that's what would make your performances redundant and sometimes boring. So I try now to explore other ways of embodiment. I mean, my biggest source is still empathy, still how to find. I think about the character for nights and nights and nights, and sometimes it's one sentence in the script when it's well written, which is rare. But it's one sentence that kind of gives you the key to who this woman could be. What's her inner world? If she's alone, when she's alone, how does she sit? Does she have a sloppy posture? Is she
the whole basic
how does she sleep? How does she laugh? How does she? And even if you don't have to see this on screen, but it gives you you created your own
backstory.
Exactly.
What do you think is still taboo to put on screen in the Middle East or in Egypt?
Look, I'm going to be very honest with you. I believe we have a big crisis when it comes to writing in the Middle East, and especially here, because here it's a commercial. I mean, it's an industry. And so you're supposed to have so many writers with so many stories to tell, with so much imagination. It's a very young population demographically, so you're expecting a more thriving world of writing. It is not the case at all.
And why is that?
You are a society, not only here, but in the Arab world in general. We are a society that says what she doesn't do and does what she doesn't say. We're very double in ethnologically and sociologically. I would love to know more about this. But we have the community is more important than what I feel or how I act or how I say things, or community first. And that created people, because psychologically it changes the society. It is a collective kind of super ego. You have the ego and the me and the it. And in our societies we have even more. We have the super ego, which is the community.
Takes over. Yeah.
And so what will the family say? And then on a bigger level, what would the neighbors say? What would the bawab say? What would my boss say? What would...
It's all about saving face.
It's all about saving face. And we became double, really. I don't like to say hypocritical, but we have this kind of... we have even a name for it, for Arabi, tajammul. You emphasize on what's good, and you don't want to talk about what's bad, because let's put it under the rug. And so it made us people who cannot write about their feelings. If you can't express who you truly are, or your true, I'm now taking it to a bigger level. If you are from the LGBTQ community in the Middle East, can you express who you are? No.
Of course not.
So you're going to repress it and lie about it to everybody.
And Hend, do you think this is partly because most of the writers are male? What is the ratio?
No, let me tell you that
are there a lot
bigger problem? No, the ratio,
it's very mainly male, right?
Actually, less and less. I'd say now it's 60-40.
Okay, better than I thought.
Yeah. But to be able to write about work,
you have to experience it.
You have to live it. Or even if you don't live it, but at least be open to it and not judge it. And and have the curiosity without this judgment, without this preconception. And so and if you want to write about an emotion, you have to live it first.
Of course.
You have to know it. You have to acknowledge that you went through it. Writers repress themselves because they don't want to. First of all, there's so many emotions they did not live, because there's so many stages in life that they did not live. They're not exposed. They did not see, encounter women who want to write and I see many of them. What kind of life experience do you have? Did you? At the end of the day, either they're single and they're waiting to get married as well, because this is their only way to escape the community judgment, but they haven't met so many guys, they haven't met so many different.
They've had a limited life.
When your only comfort zone is your school friends and your family, and you cannot leave the house without them, what are you going to write about? And the fear of expressing things the way it should be, bluntly.
There's a flip side to that, though. Do you think some people aren't writing about these issues because they know they won't get made? That they know that they can only operate in a certain parameter, and that if they transgress and go into a realm that is a bit too avant-garde or a taboo, that it will not get made. The film won't get made, or the series won't get made. That's one element. Do you think, additionally, that groups like Netflix are beginning to break that mold, because obviously the funding is coming from another location?
There's always been very exciting projects that got made, but that we did not see because of the outlets here. You have to go to Cannes or Berlin or Venice to watch an Egyptian movie that is different. But every year or so, every couple of years, there's also always a breakthrough film from the region that is internationally acclaimed and awarded, but they're a minority, of course. And here, there's no theatrical release because they don't make money, because they're too real. Anything that is too real is scary.
But having said that, the model is changing. The cinemas are no longer the only venue now.
That is the good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yes. When streamers have good taste, Now, the good thing for sure about streamers is that they need so much content.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to need anything and everything.
So it will become more diverse.
Much more diverse. And they don't need the star system as much as theaters do. So now you can build the project on unknown people. It's much cheaper, much more. It's much more flexible. And I'm experiencing this with Netflix. They still want very local stories because at the end of the day, that's what's interesting.
Of course.
About any region is that the storytelling should be still local and relevant to our audience, but they're more universal in their way of thinking and in their way of even advising you about the script, about the development. They always tend to tell you, don't forget that you're talking to a global audience as well, so be as universal as possible. So there is, yes, I think the whole industry is changing to the better, I think, because of competition. Competition is always good for the user.
I want to talk a little bit about your the other hat you wear, which is working with the UN World Food Programme and your involvement in those sorts of causes that are close to your heart. So maybe we can start with the World Food Programme.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did you get involved with them in the first place?
That was 12 years ago, I think. I was approached by the WFP, the World Food Programme, for a campaign, TV campaign, for a TV campaign that they wanted to do for Syria at the time. No, not for Syria, for Gaza. Gaza was under attack. It was
12?
No, 2008. Oh my God.
That's a while ago.
That's 13 years ago. Yes, 2008. And so the campaign was never made because they didn't have funds for it. But I remember the country director at the time was really sweet. So we spoke over coffee, and I told him, you know what, I have a lot of time because I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, and I'm bored, I was really bored. And I was working on a couple of movies at the time, but I still had...
You still had time.
And I told them, use me. Or even if I don't want to be the ambassador, I don't want the name, I don't want the title, but I'd like to go on the field and just see what you're doing. That's also my lawyer kind of background, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've always been really, I've always been an empath. I've always been easily able to feel what people feel. And I love this in me. It must be the Scorpio also, because Scorpios are feelers. But I, even very, very little, I remember when I used to see a homeless person, or it would literally break my heart. It's not like literally, like I would feel, why? And I have a problem with how unfair the world
societies are.
And so I've always had these issues in mind, and I wanted to know more. And so I started traveling with them around the region. I went to Syria at the time. Syria was still having Iraqi refugees at the time, and we went to the PLO, the Palestinian territories, and I went to a couple of places with them before they appointed me as an ambassador.
Yeah, and now your role is.
And now I'm a regional ambassador. My role is to bring awareness.
Bring awareness, and use your profile.
And use.
Sure.
They use you, and you're used anyway. So better be used for a good cause.
Sure.
You're used anyway for, when you do an advertising and you're paid, you're used for a product. Fair enough. The cat is playing with the cables. Fair enough. So why not? And that's what I told them. Use me. Use me. This is something I'd love to be used for. So when I go and some cameras follow, and some
it's a benefit, you're shining a light on something important.
And I have a lot of respect for Angelina Jolie, for Kate Blanchett, for Audrey Hepburn before that, because they're you cannot not be sincere. At this level, it's really, you can do a communication operation and go to Mzatari camp and take pictures. and never show up again.
But
anywhere.
it's obvious when it's not sincere.
But when it's years and years and years of commitment, and commitment on this level of stardom, Angelina Jolie or Kate Blanchett or these people, when they go to Myanmar or I don't know where, and
it makes a big difference.
so many people are counting on this picture, and they know it, and they do it with love and pleasure, and they can change the world.
Yeah.
This is how you can change things.
And it shines a light on issues that people just don't know about.
No, because
the average person doesn't read a newspaper; they just don't know.
No. And when you're trapped in a conflict, or when you're a refugee, or you become invisible.
Absolutely.
And that's the worst part.
Yeah. How do you see the Arab new Me Too movement? Is there an Arab Me Too movement that you feel is really there, or is it just like shots in the dark with certain issues that have come and gone?
Well, it's not systematic yet. It's not as systematic as the Me Too movement in the States. I think there is a movement of at least making our bodies more respected. First things first. Let's first agree about where does my physical space and my space ends, and who does this body belong to, and who possesses it, and then we can talk about the Me Too movement. So we have priorities, and I think what's happening against harassment, for example, is unprecedented. I'm very happy about. It's not a shame anymore. It doesn't shame the girl anymore. It used to. A few years back.
Yeah.
Now, it is a crime, and it is not only incriminated by law, but also by society. You can tell that the winds are turning when it comes to this. I believe in pragmatism. I believe in step by step. And that's why it was funny because I read about a woman who came out and said that she was raped by her husband. And there was actually a movement saying we want to criminalize domestic rape, and see, it's like getting the I don't know, la charrue avant les bœufs. It's
the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse.
I'd love to have a discussion, a social, healthy discussion about domestic rape. But not in a society where the man believes that this body is his.
Absolutely. So and the domestic violence issue in the Middle East is massive.
It's massive everywhere.
But it's particularly massive here because it's so taboo.
It is, but much less than before.
Yeah.
The Algerian women, I shared it, made a beautiful video about domestic abuse, and artists are changing this. The fact that a couple of years back, nobody was shocked when a scene in an Egyptian movie when someone would beat his wife. Today you can't do this.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do with social media. The fact that you can share everything has to do with it. You share everything, and
nothing is hidden anymore.
Nothing is hidden. You can't hide anything anymore.
No.
And I think that's a very healthy.
Yes, that's the monitoring
output from the social media world.
One of the healthiest.
Yes. There aren't a lot of the healthy things, but that's a very good one when it's done in that way.
Social monitoring.
Definitely. So you broke taboos in your life. Just being a woman from Tunisia, breaking through into Egyptian cinema, coming as a lawyer, you were quite groundbreaking in a lot of ways. How do you see the future for your girls, your children? Do you think that it will be as hard for them? Will things be solved? Will things be as hard for them as they are for us? How do you see the next generation? Will they be freer?
Well, that's a tough question. They will be not necessarily freer, but it will be much more challenging for them from a totally other perspective that we did not deal with, which is this planet.
Yeah.
We left them a planet that is dying, and everything will be less accessible. everything will be more challenging.
More of a fight.
More of a fight, exactly. And for this, I pity them, honestly, and I'm really scared. I'm really, really, really afraid. Now, I really always hope that nature will correct itself and something miraculous will happen, but I really believe that their issues, their problems, that's a problem. In this region, we didn't have this, how do you call it, succession of revolutions. You know, Europe had its industrial revolution, then its sexual revolution, and
there's been a progress.
There's been a progress.
A linear
exactly,
progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here we don't have this because we get bits and pieces of what we like, what fits our culture, and the rest, no. So there's nothing linear, nothing clear. And so you have girls that are free from the outside, that are wearing exactly what a girl would be wearing in Malibu or in Amsterdam, and at the same time inside, they're so different. Yeah. They're so conservative. They're weighed by traditions, by
superstition
and what would they say and how I should behave and what it should be like to be a girl and all these. So I believe that our kids' generation will not have the time to solve these issues, and they will be solving issues like, well, how am I going
to live or die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, do we have enough water?
Especially in the Middle East, we have a major water issue. Yeah.
And that is sad. That is sad.
Yeah. Hend, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not very optimistic.
No, but honestly, I just want to tell you, I'm not optimistic either on a lot of levels. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an amazing interview.
It was actually, I enjoyed it.
Good.
Much. No, I really did.
Good. I'm really glad that we did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. This episode of What I Did Next was brought to you by ANT Media with me, Malak Fuad, and is co-produced by Chirag Desai. Please remember to follow us on Instagram and Facebook for updates on the show. Just search for What I Did Next. We're now also on Twitter, so please follow us there too. You can help our show to grow by leaving us a positive review in your favorite podcast player. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks' time. We hope you can join us then.